Nneka stood in the kitchen of their two-bedroom apartment, sweat running down her forehead as she stirred the pot of egusi soup. She had been cooking since evening, and she was cooking it exactly the way he liked it. Very thick, filled with dry fish and goat meat. The last time she used beef, he didn't touch it. She had pounded the yam till it became soft and fluffy. When Buchi returned home, he dropped his bag on the chair and loosened his tie. "Welcome, my love," Nneka says softly, smiling. "Your food is ready." He sat at the table, tasted it, and frowned. "Did you even taste this food before serving me?" He barked. "Salt is still in the market. Go and buy more and add." Nneka's smile faded. I tasted it. It's not salty." "Are you calling me a liar? Why not admit you're a bad cook?" He cut her off, pushing the plate aside. "Nneka, there is nothing you can do right. Absolutely nothing. You are very useless." She went quiet. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she swallowed them. When he left the table, she picked up the plate and continued eating the same soup, because truly it wasn't salty. But she had learned that in Buchi's word, he was always right. Later that night, she prepared porridge for him because he couldn't sleep. One Sunday morning, Nneka wore a simple lilac dress for church. Buchi sneered. "You are going out dressed like that? You want people to say I don't take care of you, Abi? You look like someone's housemaid." "But you said I should dress decently," she whispered. "Decent doesn't mean boring," he scoffed. She changed into something else that gave a good fitting. Oh, so you now want men to look at you, Abi? Are you even going to church or to a club?" he said. She ended up not going to church that day. Nneka stared at the mirror, wondering how they got here. At first, Buchi treated her like something precious, something special. Soft words, small surprises, promises that sounded like forever. He gave her everything she thought love was meant to be: attention, protection, belonging. After all the rejection she had known, she clung to him with everything she had. But little by little, things changed. His voice grew sharper, his eyes colder. The same man who once called her queen now called her fool at any slightest provocation. Every mistake was her fault. Every silence felt like punishment. He became harsh, always criticizing her cooking, her clothes, her hair. Nothing she did was ever good enough. If she spoke, he would say she wasn't feminine enough, that her voice was too strong. Nneka had heard his criticism so long that it began to take root in her. She truly believed she wasn't good enough, and every day she tried harder, cooking better, dressing better, speaking softer, hoping that if she did everything just the way Buchi wanted, he would become the loving man she married. She believed it was her duty to fix their home, to fix him, to make things right, even if it meant losing herself in the process. He made her believe she couldn't survive without him. What Nneka didn't know was that Buchi knew how much she loved him and how much she depended on him, and he used it to his own advantage. Buchi worked as a public relations officer at a big logistics company. He wasn't the social type, but he carried himself with quiet authority that made people respect him. At work, he kept to himself, polite but distant. He never joined in office gossip or casual talk during breaks. Instead, he buried himself in files, calls, and reports. His dedication to work stood out. He handled every task with precision and rarely made mistakes. Over time, he earned his boss's trust. Mr. Desmond often relied on him for important assignments, confident that Buchi would always deliver. To his colleagues, he was the perfect employee, dependable, professional, and disciplined. No one really knew him beyond the surface. He rarely talked about his personal life, and he preferred it that way. But behind the calm, respected image was a man quietly driven by pride, greedy ambition, and an unrelenting desire for control, a side only his wife saw. That afternoon, Nneka was relaxing in the sitting room when Buchi walked in. He was much earlier than usual. She greeted him, expecting a comment from him about her lazing around. But to her surprise, he seemed cheerful, a bright smile on his face. "Nneka, my beautiful wife," he said cheerfully. "You are back early. Hope all is well," she said, concerned. He grinned widely. "Good news, my beautiful wife. I took permission to come share the news with you. I couldn't wait till evening." Nneka leaned forward, eager to hear the good news. "My company just sealed a massive deal, worth millions. This is the kind of money that can change a man's life." Nneka sat there, unsure how to react. She was trying to understand how this was a good news. The company had sealed many deals before. This wasn't the first. Pouring himself a drink, he said, "Do you want to live like this forever? Rented apartments, old furniture, small kitchen." "I'm content. God will bless us in His time," she replied softly, more confused, not knowing where he was headed. "God?" he scoffed. "People get rich by taking bold chances, not by sitting around waiting for some sky daddy to throw money down from the clouds." "Well, let me get straight to the point. The deal we just closed is 50 million. Did you hear me? 50 million. The biggest my company has ever seen. I've been planning this for months, and now is the perfect time to execute. That money will change our lives. I won't have to work again, and you won't have to worry about money again." "Buchi, Nneka began, but he cut her off before she could finish. "It wasn't easy, but after months of trying, I finally know my boss's pin. The money sits comfortably in his account, and that's where you come in. Listen, next weekend, there'll be a company dinner party to celebrate the win. You go with me, as a friend, not my wife," Buchi said smoothly, his eyes glinting with confidence. "Thank God none of my co-workers even know I'm married. Makes things easier. You look the best you've ever looked. I'll make sure of it. Don't worry. Make him comfortable. Make yourself irresistible. Flirt a little. Make him drink. Go home with him, if you must. When he's careless, use his phone to transfer money into the account I've already set up." Nneka's mouth was open in shock as he was staring at him, unable to believe what she just heard. "Buchi, have you lost your mind? How could you even think of this? This is stealing. I won't be part of it," she cried, her voice trembling. But Buchi looked completely unbothered, almost bored. "You want me to go home with your boss? What if he tries to sleep with me? Is that how little you think of me? Is that how worthless I am to you?" she asked, her voice breaking. He didn't even flinch. "That's why you have to make sure he drinks enough," he said calmly, as though her pain meant nothing. Her tears fell freely now. "I won't do it," she said in a calm, determined voice. He stepped forward and lowered his voice until it was icy enough to cut through the walls. "If you were smart, you'll see I'm doing this for the both of us, not against you," he said slowly, each word deliberate. "I'm giving you this chance because you're my wife, because I love you. But if you won't do it, someone else will. And if that happens..." He paused, leaning close enough for her to feel his breath. You won't like what comes next. Nneka froze. The man standing before her wasn't the one she had married. This wasn't love. It was control dressed in affection. And for the first time, she realized she was trapped. Nneka knew she had nowhere to go. Buchi had once been her knight in shining armor. Orphaned at a young age, she grew up under the roof of an aunt who made her life a living hell. An aunt who reminded her daily she was unwanted, a burden to be rid of. So when Buchi came into her life, gentle and charming, it felt like an answer to her prayers, the beginning of peace after years of pain. But peace was the last thing she found. That night, he slept on the couch. Days passed with him coming home late, smelling of alcohol and female perfume. He began ignoring her, wouldn't eat, brushing off her attempts to see reason with her. Nneka was devastated, not just because she loved her husband, but because she felt indebted to him, and the thought of being alone terrified her. Watching the rain tick against the window, she whispered, "Maybe if I do this, he'll finally see me and love me the way he used to. Maybe he'll change to the once loving man he was." By the fifth day, she couldn't bear the silent treatment from him as it was eating her alive. "I'll do it," she said quietly when he returned. He smiled. "That's my girl. I always knew you were smart." He hugged her warmly. A silent war was going on in Nneka's heart between what she knew was right and what she hopes would finally make things right. From the moment she agreed to Buchi's plan, her peace disappeared. Sleep abandoned her. Her meals lost taste. Even her reflection began to look like a stranger's. Tired eyes, pale lips, and a smile that no longer reached her heart. Every morning, she would wake up before dawn and sit on the edge of the bed, watching the man she loved, the same man who was slowly turning her into someone she didn't recognize. Sometimes she wondered if this version of him was his true self, and the kind, gentle man she first met was only a mask he wore to make her love him. One evening, as she served him dinner, she asked softly, "Buchi, are you sure this is the only way?" He didn't even look up from his plate. "Nneka, you're already in it. Don't start acting like a child now." She looked at him, her heart aching. "But what if something goes wrong?" He dropped his spoon, glaring at her. "You've started again. Nneka, I'm tired of your weakness. You are lucky I'm even including you in this plan. Other men wouldn't." Her eyes filled with tears. "I'm doing this for you," she whispered. "No," he corrected sharply. "You are doing this for us. Don't forget that." He angrily rose from the table and walked into the bedroom, leaving her alone with her tears and the echo of his words. By morning, Buchi was cheerful, humming as he dressed for work. On his way back, he bought her a stunning red dress. "This is perfect," he said. "You'll be irresistible." For the first time in a very long while, he looked at her with admiration, and that broke her heart even more, because it wasn't love that made him look at her that way. It was greed. The night before the dinner party, Nneka couldn't sleep. She prayed something would happen so she wouldn't have to do it. Her tears fell freely. The day finally arrived. Nneka stood in front of the mirror, staring at her reflection. The woman looking back wasn't her. This one was painted, polished, pretending, a stranger dressed for deception, about to commit a crime she didn't believe in. Buchi stood behind her, fastening her necklace. "You look perfect, my love. Remember why you are doing this," he said, slipping a small pill into her hand, his last-minute addition to the plan. Nneka stared at it, her stomach tightening. She nodded weakly. Her lips trembled as she whispered, yes. The night was alive with music, soft jazz from the corner, laughter from the tables, and the gentle clinking of glasses. The chandelier scattered gold and silver light across the hall, reflecting off polished marbles and sharp suits. Nneka's heart beat in her chest like a drum she could not control. The red dress Buchi bought for her shimmered under the lights. It clung to her body in a way that made her feel exposed, not beautiful, just bare. Her makeup was bold, yet subtle, the kind that drew attention without asking for it. Every detail had been chosen by Buchi, from the shade of her lipstick to the way her hair framed her face. She looked like someone who belonged in another world, a world of possibility and admiration, not fear and obligation. She couldn't remember the last time she spoke to any man other than her husband, especially in such a gathering. The thought made her uneasy, and she wondered how she would cope. She took a deep breath, forcing a smile she didn't feel. Mr. Desmond, Buchi's boss, noticed her immediately she walked in. Her quiet innocence drew his attention. He approached and started a conversation. Nneka explained that someone had invited her, but she hadn't met them yet. Their talk flowed effortlessly. Mr. Desmond was calm and attentive, listening as she spoke. Before she realized it, she felt relaxed, even warm in his presence. Buchi watched from a distance, his eyes burning with greed and pride. He whispered to himself, perfect. Everything is working perfectly. Mr. Desmond spoke to her with respect, not command. He listened when she spoke. He noticed her discomfort and offered kindness, not manipulation. As the conversation progressed, Nneka noticed something striking about Desmond. He wasn't manipulative. He didn't belittle people. He didn't demand obedience. He respected boundaries. He cared. And in contrast, she saw Buchi clearly for who he truly was. The man who controlled every word she spoke, every single thing she did. The man who manipulates her into obedience. The man who only smiled when he got what he wanted. The man who had turned her love into fear. When the drinks came, she let him pour one small glass for her. But instead of getting drunk, she kept her senses sharp. She watched him, noticed his kindness, and she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. When Mr. Desmond excused himself to use the restroom, Buchi leaned close, his breath brushing her ear. Don't forget your role, he whispered. One drink, one sleep, then everything is ours. After the formal part of the evening ended, Desmond offered her a ride home. She nodded mechanically, but inside, her mind was a battlefield, torn between fear, loyalty, and the faint voice of conscience begging her to stop. In the car, Desmond's voice was calm. You seemed troubled at the dinner. Can you share? She glanced at him, unsure how to answer. Her mind raced with the events of the past days. Buchi's plan, the threats, the years of manipulation. She said softly, sometimes people expect you to be someone you are not. And it hurts when you can't meet their expectations. It hurts even more when those people are the ones you love. Nneka, he said gently, his eyes soft with concern. You don't have to become someone else to please anyone. If you ever feel the need to keep proving your love just to be accepted, then maybe that love isn't love at all. He paused, his eyes soft but steady. You are a beautiful, strong, and independent young woman. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And most importantly, don't ever believe them, he said with quiet conviction. His words sank deep, each one hitting a place in her heart she had long forgotten. Nneka held her breath the entire time, her chest tight. And though she didn't say a word, she was making a decision. one that would change everything. Desmond spoke about simple things, books, music, work, but always with care and attention. He asked questions, listened without interrupting, and slowly she began to laugh, softly at first, then genuinely. And when she looked at him, she saw a reflection of herself she had almost forgotten. A woman capable of choices, dignity, and freedom. They drove into the night. Buchi drove home that night, certain everything was going according to plan. Nneka had always obeyed him. Why would this time be different? To calm his nerves, he poured himself a drink, his eyes flicking to his phone every few seconds. Any moment now, the alert would come. The sound of success, the proof of his genius. But minutes turned into hours. Still, nothing. He drank more, muttering under his breath, convincing himself she was just taking her time. Eventually, he fell asleep with his phone on his chest and greed in his heart. By morning, the silence was deafening. No alert, no message, no Nneka. A flicker of doubt crossed his mind. What could have gone wrong? It was a perfect plan. Hadn't she put what he gave her in his boss's drink? He waited, pacing, checking his phone again and again. Still, nothing. Frustrated and uneasy, he dressed hurriedly and left for work. Late, distracted and unaware that his world was about to crumble. At work, he tried to act normal. He smiled, shook hands, and answered emails. But every time he glanced at Mr. Desmond, he felt a prick of fear. The boss's calm, composed demeanor unsettled him. Buchi's mind ran wide. What if something had gone wrong? If Nneka had been caught, by now he would have been arrested. But seeing Mr. Desmond at work that morning proved otherwise. Or worse, what if she had turned against him? He shook his head and scoffed. Nneka, double-cross me? Nah. She's not that smart, he muttered to himself, forcing a dry laugh. But the thought wouldn't settle. It clawed at his mind like a restless animal. He went home after work. Still, no sign of Nneka. Days passed, no sign of her still. Her phone went unanswered. Anger now burned in him as he paced the apartment. Fist clenched, mind racing. She will not dare, he spat. That ingrate. After all I did for her, I'll find her and I'll make her pay. With each passing day, Buchi's anger and fears grew worse, and there was no one he could call to ask after Nneka. At work, he became restless. Emails went unanswered. Reports now sat half-finished. His colleagues noticed the change. The confident man who charmed everyone had become jittery, restless and suspicious. Every time Mr. Desmond passed by, Buchi flinched, expecting a glare, a question, a trap. But Desmond remained calm, polite, professional, unaware. Buchi's mind began to spin. What if she failed? What if she told him everything and he was just waiting for the perfect time to strike? What if the police came knocking? Every small sound made him jump. His heart beat fast all the time. He paced the apartment at night, staring at empty walls. He drank too much, smoked too much, and called silently at Nneka's absence. Meanwhile, that night after the dinner party, Nneka didn't follow Mr. Desmond home. Instead, she went to a small guest house. The few hours she spent talking with him opened her eyes. She realized she had not been living, only surviving. From that night, she began to take back the life she had lost over the years. Each day, she felt lighter. Each day, she remembered who she was before fear took over her heart. Sometimes, when she thought of Buchi, she felt a twinge of sadness. Not for him, but for the years lost to his greed and manipulation. By the end of that week, she had made her decision. She would not return to the man who broke her spirit, nor to the life built on fear and greed. She would step into the light. She whispered to herself, I will not return to the cage I left behind. Back home, Buchi had become a shadow of himself, haunted by his own schemes, not knowing what the next minute would bet. Fear had become his constant companion. It's been more than a week now. The silence was killing him. He no longer went out after work. He just stayed home, lost in his thoughts. That evening, he heard a knock at the door. His heart jumped to his mouth. Who? Who is there? He managed to say, expecting the worst. The knock came again, firm and deliberate. He rushed to the door, flinging it open. And there stood Nneka. She looked different. It wasn't about her hair or her dress. There was something new about her, a quiet confidence. Her eyes were steady, and her presence commanding. Gone was the trembling woman who had agreed to his plan. In her place was a woman who had remembered her own words. He looked around quickly to see if she came with someone, but she was alone. For a moment, he was confused. Then he exploded in a full rage. He stormed toward her, his voice rising. Where the hell have you been, Nneka? Do you know what I've been through this past week? No messages, no calls. What happened? Don't ever think you can double-cross me and survive it. His face twisted with rage, but Nneka stood still, calm as ever. I didn't do it, she said calmly. And I never will. Buchi, for years I've endured everything you did to me. The insults, the control, the manipulation. Because I loved you. Because I believed you would change. But I was wrong. I came to take some of my things. I'm done. She finished with a tone of finality. He scoffed, shaking his head as if trying to laugh it off. You? Leave? You can't leave me. Nneka, you are nothing without me. You are weak, and the air you breathe. Newsflash, you have nowhere to go, and no one to run to. Your aunt never wanted you. She still doesn't. You come crawling back, you always do. He came closer. Just one little opportunity, and you ran off with another man. I should have known. You've always been for the streets. He hissed. But Nneka didn't move. Her calmness made him more uneasy. I am not weak, Buchi. I was a woman in love, but not anymore, she said, her tone firm. I've already sent evidence of your stolen company funds to my lawyer. I know everything you've been doing. I won't report you myself, but your sins will soon find you out. His face went pale. You wouldn't dare, he stammered, moving menacingly towards her. I already did, she replied, her voice steady. I'm smarter than you ever gave me credit for. You wanted to break me, but you only woke me up. She packed a few of her belongings and walked away. No tears, no goodbyes, just peace. For the first time, Buchi didn't try to stop her. He stood frozen, his pride and fear missing into silence. Nneka got a restraining order against Buchi. For the first time, she could breathe freely. No aunt who despised her. No husband who broke her spirit. Just peace and a quiet sense of freedom. She found a new job, started rebuilding her life, carrying with her something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope for a better future. It wasn't long before the EFCC came knocking. The company had traced the multiple illicit transfers, fake accounts, and missing funds, and the investigations led straight to Buchi. The man once praised for his dedication was now exposed for his greed. His arrogance had finally caught up with him in the most shameful way. The lesson to learn from this story is that love should never cost you your peace or self-worth. True love uplifts, it doesn't control, diminish, or manipulate. When love turns into fear, it's no longer love, it's bondage. Strength often begins the moment you choose yourself. Nneka's power returned not when she fought back, but when she walked away. Healing begins when you stop trying to fix others and start saving yourself. As always, thank you so much for watching until the very end. Share your thoughts on this story with me in the comment section. I'd love to read them. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Share it with your family and friends, even with your enemies. And please subscribe to my channel for more amazing stories. I have lots of them to unload. See you in my next video.